This is the year you move. This is the year you take that next step. Whether you're starting out, starting over, or starting something new, you need a local moving company that you can trust. We're Mankato Movers. We're your hometown moving resource, and we'll get you there. Call or email about our pre-move service today.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of I.C.E, which stands for Inspire, Collaborate, and Encourage, and is a collaborative podcast that we produce weekly. Podcasts are typically hosted live, but occasionally we have them, do have to pre-record them. Today we are live. We also have available for replay on our I.C.E YouTube channel and our I.C.E Facebook page. Each week's interview with a guest or guests that we feel had an interesting story to talk about our three key words: inspire, collaborate, and encourage. We found great comfort and knowledge, both personally and professionally, from the podcast of others. Those we watched were from others in our industry or business coach style individuals, but also from general people that just had a positive outlook on not only business, but life in general. We are excited to bring this to you each week at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time on Thursdays. We also have the ability in many of the presentations for you, the viewers, to ask questions of our guests like we do here today. So let's, without further ado, meet today's guests. Today, we have joining us Dale Glossenger, also affectionately called Coach G. In addition to his construction business, Coach G operates and runs the American football events USA All-Stars and the RWB, which I'm going to guess stands for Red, White, and Blue Sports Events. Football, American style, international play, and the opportunities provided for players all at the next level. So welcome, Coach G. How are you today?
Doing fine. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
We're going to have to come back to the story that we were talking about right before we went on air, and you're just going to have to share that with the audience here again. But you are somewhere warmer than Minnesota. However, you said that this morning it was 28. So
yeah,
we'll pack up the sweatshirt and send it down to you or something, so that way you don't. Stocking hat? Do you need a stocking hat maybe?
Yeah, it was a little bit at 28 degrees. We're not kind of used to that, so nothing more than a sweatshirt is what our general weather is.
All right, well, let's get started here. You own two businesses in really two different types of worlds, one in construction, one in sports. Does one of the businesses provide inspiration for the other, or are they just too opposite to really be compared?
Jay, they both share an interest with working together. You know, the key to any construction business is to surround yourself with good people. And when you have good people surrounded, good things happen. And it's a lot like with the football. You know, you surround yourself with good athletes, good coaches, and good things happen, both on and off the field. In the construction world, you know, it's all about finding a way to repair, to build, or fix things. A lot like we manage with our coaching style, being able to teach, show how to repair things that we need to fix, and then execute a plan to create and build something that's spectacular, both on and off the field. So I definitely say they collaborate with each other.
Clearly, the day job is really the construction business. So what is it like for a day in your shoes on the construction business side of it?
I guess another way to say it is to be a juggler, because you got to be able to manage multiple tasks all at once, and being able to lead the crews on different things. We do both residential and commercial work. So we do a lot of work with the local hospital and doctor's offices where we do a lot of general maintenance for them. But then we take on bigger projects, a lot of times working for the furniture market that takes place twice a year in High Point, North Carolina. We build out showrooms and specs out that way. And then sometimes break it down to residential, where we come in and help people within their homes. I stopped building houses about 15 years ago, right before the recession. And I think really just the opportunity to work with my hands has been one of my most talents, but being able to teach and show others what I've learned and help them gain a trade.
Are there aspects of the construction business, say with your employees, that you find allows you to be a better coach, or vice versa? I mean, we talked about the collaboration, but is there enough crossover there to really rely on one versus the other?
I definitely would say there is. One of the things that made an inspiration in my life growing up was a coach, and being on the field and learning the values of life. But in the work environment, you have to be able to transition those same things. And I think the biggest thing that has helped me in the business world and run a successful business is respect. If you give respect, you earn respect. You'll get the respect in return, and we want that on the football field and within the football organization as well. And when you show respect, they'll show respect, and I think that really goes hand in hand at how they work together between the football and the construction business.
All right, so we're going to use that as a good segue into the story that we were talking about before we went on air, and that is one of the programs that you have is a women's team.
Hmm.
And last year you were fortunate enough to go down to, I believe you said Honduras, and it was the first week of March, and you got stuck in country, right?
That is correct. We're blessed as an organization with the different places we travel to and the things that we do. And a few years ago, we started, after starting a men's program and being a coach for almost 30 years now, we saw a true need of what women's football is about. And still, people don't understand and know the magnitude of women's football. There are close to 100 teams in the United States today. So when we started a program, we built a program that we could actually represent American football events, USA All Stars, in what they called the America's Bowl Championship. And it represented multiple North America, South America teams, Honduras, Mexico, Costa Rica, United States, Nicaragua. A lot of the South American countries were a big part of it. It was hosted in Honduras. We got an invitation a year ago. We accepted the invitation. Um, Everything was green light. We knew about the pandemic. We knew about the COVID-19 situation, but everything still was a green light. Nothing in the United States had stopped. NBA was still playing. Everything was going on. We were in constant contact with the embassy. Literally, um, we found out that there was only one case in the whole country of Honduras. We felt very confident, very safe. We traveled, had a great event. Actually, was the gold medal award winners, and went undefeated.
Nice. How many games
After
did you play?
total of 5 games, five
Okay.
games in 3 days. So
Oh my gosh.
yeah, so the players can definitely say they got plenty of football in those few days. And a lot of them will tell you today, because of the COVID and the pandemic situation, that's the only football that they've got to play all season and all year. So it was a blessing to have that. On our final day, we were supposed to fly home early Monday morning. On Sunday evening, Sunday night, the president of Honduras come out and locked all the borders down, both air, land, and sea. So it was a struggle, because at that time you're dealing with a lot, as what we said with the construction business, you got to be able to juggle multiple hats, and you got to find a way to keep everybody together. And then, one thing that you probably read and seen and heard over years is, for 22 years of my career, I've always lived by one model, only one way to do it, and that's what? Together. I mean, to the point that where I made sure to actually put it on my arm, only one way to do it, together. But we made sure everybody kept the morale. We ended up being there for another week. Multiple of our players, staff, we reached out to our local congressman. We reached out to the local media back at home. Everybody was in constant contact. And we were featured on Fox News. And it wasn't long after that the embassy let us know that the president would be selling a military flight to be able to bring us home. So a week postponed. Everyone got home safely. We had 55 players and coaches and staff together there, and everyone made it back. And we're just blessed. But
Wow.
what I wanted to add to that, Jay, one thing that really emphasizes, out of all the countries and everyone that was there, what touched us the most is our organization, being a nonprofit, is all about community support. We were able to donate clothes and shoes that we brought to a homeless shelter for teenagers. We went to a local school to hand out school supplies that we had brought with us. And that was what the true winning was as an organization for our players and staff to be able to impact the people of Honduras. So
Awesome story. You don't necessarily equate, and I think this is one of the things that I've learned about you, and it's kind of cool that I've as we've gotten to know each other a little bit, is you do so much internationally. And when you look at South America, Honduras, Nicaragua, Mexico, you don't typically equate American style football with those countries. It's more soccer.
correct.
And so it's an incredible ambassadorship, for lack of a better term, that you guys and your guys and girls, both your men's and women's teams, are providing when you're going to these other countries. And women's football, I cannot believe how much women's football has gained in popularity in the last. For me, I think I really started to take notice in the last 5 to 10 years. I don't know if when you were up for the Pigskin Classic, if you got a chance to meet Laura Brown or if you know Laura Brown.
Yes.
And she is phenomenal. She was one of our guests very early on in ICE and runs a hell of a program there with the Minnesota Vixen. And she's gotten a chance, I know, to go some international places and do some speaking and coaching. And I think it's a great avenue for women athletes to be showcased in something other than the typical staples of volleyball or basketball, something along those lines. Were you there at the Pigskin the night that the girls played?
No, we came in right after that.
You came in right
Yeah.
after. That was
Yeah.
that was like that day was kind of a bit of a I'm not going to say the word, but it was a blank show until they played. And when they played, that was so much fun watching them. I wanted to give them the whole rest of the night. If I would have been able to not get killed by all the men's teams, I would have given them the rest of the night because they were so stoked. They were having so much fun out there playing, and the fans loved it. The players from the men's teams, because we played at halftime of one of the men's games. Those guys didn't even leave the sidelines. They stayed. They wanted to see these girls light each other up and stuff like that. So it was way cool.
We'll have to work together to bring our organization there for the Pigskin Classic with the women and see. It's amazing. I will say that internationally, I have found that women's football is the fastest growing sport right now. It's amazing how many different countries have reached out to us. We were supposed to actually in December be in Spain with our women's program to play in Spain, but due to COVID and the pandemic and the guidelines right now, can't travel internationally in Europe. So we've had to postpone that event as well. But it is the fastest growing sport, and what we found, Jay, that these women just want an opportunity to have a platform to showcase their talents. And with the guys, somebody asked me, "Have you ever coached women before?" And I said, "No." And they said, what did you like or what do you dislike? And, what are the true attributes of coaching with women's football? I said, what amazes me is they're like young kids again, where they're a sponge. They want to soak. They want to soak up all the knowledge that they can. And what surprised me was they understood the X's and O's. But they didn't understand concepts. Right. So why are you running these crossing routes? And you felt young again as a coach because they were those sponges. You showed them and they saw it and they believed it. It was amazing. So I've really been inspired and renewed as a coach working with the women's program. Somebody says, well, what do you dislike about working with the women's program? And I would say sometimes they're a little bit too detail oriented. And that's typical with most of the women in our life or most of our partners in our life. You'll have somebody that's very detailed. So there's a lot more questions per se, when it comes to finding out what they need to know, because they go through a process a little bit different. You got to remember, us men and guys, we started football as kids, and growing up, it was, right now for a man, he's got the opportunity to play spring ball, summer ball, fall ball. He can play indoor, outdoor. There's not that many opportunities for the women. So the platform gives them every opportunity to get on the field. So appreciate the opportunity to share a little information about our women's program because it's been very special.
Well, and that's again, that's what I've really enjoyed about getting to know you and following you on social media and stuff like that, is because it's just a you got a really incredible fun program, and it'll be nice when we get the opportunity to work together again,
For sure.
hopefully in the future. Um, when I asked prior to the interview about who your biggest inspiration in your life was, you said your dad due to his
Mhm.
military service, but you also mentioned a number of coaches and mentors. Do you find inspiration easier to come by with a bigger or a smaller network of people?
I think it's more of a smaller network of people. One thing I remember growing up as a kid with my dad said, you're a you're a blessed man when you can count the number of true friends on one hand. Because in life, you're not always blessed. We all have friends.
Hmm.
Sometimes we call them acquaintances. Sometimes we call them family. But true friends, those people that it doesn't matter day, night, what time it is, where you're at, what the situation is. You can pick up the phone call and they'll be there for you. So, I've had coaches, I've had mentors, and people and really close friends that I consider like a brother from another mother that have had that close bond that you can trust and rely on. So I would say it's more of a close knit instead of a large network of people.
And I think I completely agree with you. I liken it more to the smaller group as well.
Mhm.
And I think that for me personally, a lot of that tightness, that tight knit group that I have actually comes from the football world. I may not know some of these guys uh, as long as I have, my high school friends or my family, but we've kind of been through the trenches a little bit now, and you kind of end up feeling like you said, brother from another mother kind of a deal.
Right.
Encouragement comes in so many forms to us in life, and from our parents to our friends, family, even strangers. When you feel the need to provide encouragement to others, what do you start with and why?
You know, I revert a lot back to my childhood and my upbringing, and I think that's way some of us all really think is how we were brought up. And I remember another thing that my dad always said, you give somebody a positive, you give two positives before you give a negative. And I think that's what's been great in life too as a business owner is, you know, I've actually fired people before in my life that left with a smile because they felt still like a person. They feel still important. They might not had the right qualities and the right techniques to do the job, but they had the right meaning or the right heart. And
Mhm.
I think that's a valuable lesson is, you know, think before you speak. And that helps with that life lesson. Think before you speak. One of the other life lessons that I think has been profound for me is the most profound word in the English dictionary is attitude. And I have a 3x5 card that's on my mirror in the bedroom and a mirror in the bathroom. And only word that's on that card is attitude because it reflects everything we do with each other. My attitude reflects your attitude. Your attitude can reflect my attitude. So I think those are my two most important lessons in life is two positive for a negative and attitude.
How proud and Tanya doesn't know these questions because I didn't tell them to her last night. How proud and excited are you on a daily basis to get to work with your wife in your football business?
Jay, I mean, we all know that it takes a true partner to be successful, both on the field and off the field and in business. And Sandy is my rock. We've been through a lot together, both on the field and off the field within our business. Um, she definitely wears multiple hats. She's very disciplined and very organized. She's the business aspect of the business, and all the players, all the coaches and staff know that because being in the business that you've been in as well, um, they're not always the most well liked because they're the business side of it. So I'm the heart side of it. I'm the one with the big heart. I may be the big guy, but the big soft heart, and she's more the business aspect. But she's truly been a blessing to the success that we've had both on and off the field, and I can't thank a better person to be in my life.
Does she work with you on the construction side of the business too?
Yes, she
Okay.
actually she helps manage the books and set the appointments and so forth. So yes.
Okay. Before we get to our speed round of questions, we're going to hear from a couple of our sponsors, but I want to remember to talk about the Hall of Fame status that you have. So when we get back after the speed round, we're going to talk a little bit about that. All right?
Sounds
Be
good.
right back here in just a bit. All right, Gracie B. Doodle is a new up-and-coming online store and social media group for the decorated apparel, design, and sublimation sector. From digital papers to sublimation blanks and more, Gracie B. Doodle is a great resource for the crafters or the professional shops. Online at www.graciebdoodle.company.site. River Valley Dental, located in Mankato, Minnesota, provides their patients with the most current treatment using the latest dental technology. Dr. Tom Pooley and his team offer services ranging from general preventative care to restorative care. They are now offering cosmetic treatment paired with their med spa. At River Valley Dental, you are never just another set of teeth. You're a face with a name and a history. It is their privilege to serve you and guide you to your dental goals. River Valley Dental, your smile, our passion. The Wow Zone Family Entertainment Center, located in Mankato, Minnesota, has 24 state-of-the-art bowling lanes, a 2-level laser tag arena, mini golf, video games, snack bar, sports bar, and a restaurant. Bring a few or bring them all. The Wow Zone can fit them all. All right, back to Coach G. All right, one of my favorite parts of these interviews is what I call the Mankato Movers speed round, where the Blue Crew, whose motto is "We'll get you there." So, are you ready? These are just quick hitter questions with a quick hitter answer.
Sounds good.
Real leather or composite?
Real leather.
Rydell or Schutt?
Zenith.
I was trying to think last night.
Shout out to our partner.
Yeah, I was wondering last night if I should put 3 options in there, but I thought, we'll just go. Australian rugby Australian football or rugby?
Australian football.
Yeah, me too. I love watching them. Whenever I get a chance to come across them on ESPN, I just absolutely love watching that.
For sure.
I injured my elbow one night, mimicking the referee, doing his thing. I did that, and I'm like, oh my god, my elbow hurts. Grass or turf?
Grass.
XFL or the AAF?
XFL.
Oh, well, it might be back around again in 2021.
Exactly.
Indoor or outdoor?
Outdoor.
Yeah. Bigger fan, you or Sandy?
Me.
Open air or dome?
Open air.
And hottest part of the United States for athletes playing football, as far as like what part of the U.S. do we see the best athletes?
I can answer that one real easy. We did an event in August in San Antonio, Texas. So I would say Texas. It was 113 degrees at kickoff.
Oh, ouch. That was this year?
Last August.
Oh, last August. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to get back to the questions here, but you are a Hall of Fame member of the American Football Association, if I remember correctly.
That's correct.
When were you inducted?
2015 in Canton, Ohio.
All right. And for many people, the American Football Association is the amateur / semi-pro side of football rather than the professional side, like the pro NFL Hall of Fame is. They just happen to be that they have both of them in the same city.
Correct. They're both
Um,
actually they're both actually held in Canton at the Hall of Fame. So that was an incredible experience itself because even with the American Football Association, there's still a jacket presentation. The actual banquet is held inside the Hall of Fame. So it's a wonderful experience coming from someone that has a passion and love for football to be able to experience it and actually do it inside the Hall of Fame was an incredible experience.
well, and I'll give them a shout out because I've been trying for years to get them to be a sponsor of the Pigskin Classic. But I know Dave Birch is who's in charge of the AFA, and they have an incredible program. I'm sure you
Hmm.
use it as well, but their liability insurance for
Yep.
the amateur teams. Uh, I don't know. I shudder to think where amateur teams would be, or the sport would even be if we didn't have a company like or
100%.
AFA working with Sadler to have that
Correct.
liability coverage. That's a
100%.
great program that they have.
Yep.
Um,
Dave Birch has done several really good things like that, and we're actually a member, and we use the saddle insurance through AFA. And like you said, good shout out to Dave Birch with American Football Association. The things he's done with the Hall of Fame for it goes back to Dick Seuss many years, so there's a lot of history there, and it's been a great organization, really
yeah,
has.
I using one of our words, out of this show, the encouragement that they provide the amateur
Yep.
sports world, I think is incredible. How is life in 2020 different than you expected in say 1990?
Oh wow. Well, 1990, I think we can put it all together, whether it's dealing with football, whether it's dealing with life, whether it's dealing with today's society, whether it's dealing with politics. I think the one thing that's different, the biggest difference, is respect. Um, in 1990, we had respect, whether it was for a coach, a teacher, a parent, a law enforcement, uh,
Each other.
each other, an elder, a referee.
Yep.
And I think what we're losing is those core values in 2020 versus what we had in 1990. And I think based on our age, Jay, and people around us that understand that those family values, those core values, the respect, the manners, we've lost. And I think that outside the pandemic, what more can we all say? But it's 2020,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, it's almost like there's nothing right now that can happen that we all don't
right,
just go, huh,
right,
2020, what'd you
right,
expect? I think
right,
everybody was hoping that everything would change on November 4th, and it didn't
right,
really change on November
right,
4th. Now everybody's
right.
like, okay, January 1st, and
Right, right,
God
right,
forbid if something doesn't change right on January 1st, what are we going to pick for the next date? I guess I don't know.
right.
Wikipedia, I didn't search. I was going to search last night to see if I could find you on Wikipedia, but it likely has an entry on there somewhere for you being a inductee into the AFA Hall of Fame. Under the personal tab, I don't know if you go to
Yeah,
Wikipedia much, but
yeah.
there's usually a personal tab. What would you like it to say for others to remember or learn about Coach G?
Impact. I think being positive, being that role that others can see. I've always tried to, and I see this in my own family, in my own business, in the football, is to be a teacher, to show others, that there are still true attributes to being successful in life, on the field and off the field, and being an impact. I want people to say Coach G was an impact. He was an impact in my life. He was an impact in others' lives. Um, God blessed me with a talent, not just with coaching, but being that impact for others and the witness to try and be a better person.
Right. Well, and I think you said it earlier too. The attitude that you carry in with it
Yep.
is so much of it as well too. Um, I personally love logistics, figuring things out, putting it all together. In order to do much of that, collaboration, like we talked about earlier, is key. So with AFE, is the collaboration primarily just organic between because it's you and Sandy, or are there a number of other parts in the mix?
Predominantly, it's organic with just Sandy and I. As I said to you before, success comes in being able to have the ability to lead others in the right direction. But at the same time, you and I know that a lot of times our success comes from being tight net to where you have more control over the things. You know, I have sometimes a hard time in my construction business, um, handing that wrench or that tool to somebody else because I know how I want it done, and
Right.
I've got a certain way to do it. But I think that's transitioned into our business. But as your business grows, and in 5 years, God's blessed American football events beyond my imagination, that you have to slowly start delegating some of these tasks to others to continue that success and that growth in the organization. And we've started doing that a lot in the last, especially since we've had a lot of downtime for 2020. We've really spent more time in trying to structure the organization to help delegate some of the tasks to be in continuing success.
Yeah, I think, I can echo that too. I mean, 2020 has taught me to have to learn to delegate a lot more, especially with having the heart attack that I had in January, and suddenly be thrust into a situation of, am I ever going to be able to come back to work? If I am able to come back to work, what level am I going to be able to be?
Hmm.
And now here we are. We're 3 weeks out from a major procedure again. So how long is that going to take me out? So you really have to, that collaboration, that delegation with, whether it's your spouse, your coaches, your players, the other components of your businesses, to just make sure that the right people are in the right place. And yeah, it's always interesting, isn't it?
For sure. For sure.
What is the future for Dale G and for Coach G in AFE? What does that kind of look like?
For many, many, many years and going on close to 30 years of coaching, the one thing that I always had an inspiration to be was to be an NFL coach, just like many of our players. And
Mhm.
do I feel like the talent level? Do I feel like the commitment? Do I feel that I should be at the level? Sure. Many of us all think that. But I will tell you, I am as happy as I've ever been in my life, both on and off the field. But American football events has truly given us a passion um, to make an impact on others on the field and off the field with the community work that we do. And I encourage everybody to go and watch some of our impact videos that we have about our organization, the things we do with disability children and disability day programs, nursing homes, kids camps. Uh, it's amazing to see that impact. And I just, my future, every day I thank God for another opportunity to wake up and be that impact, and that's how I hope to continue.
Is there this isn't one of the questions that I had set up, but is there a place in the world that you want to have an opportunity for one of your teams to play in yet?
Well, we haven't really. This year was going to be our first stepping stone to moving into Europe. In 5 years, all our events have basically stayed in South America between Mexico, Costa Rica, Honduras, and in the United States. So I think now I spent my military time in Germany. I worked with German American football when I was there back in the late early 90s. And I know the love and passion that American football is in Europe. And, the problem is that the cost and the travel costs and the
Mhm.
expenses. I can go to South America 3 times compared to once to Europe. And
Right.
so I really hope that we can grow and have an opportunity to see more internationally on the Europe side. But I also want to try and grow our organization more here in the United States to continue to build that platform for people to see the women's program, the men's program. Jay, one of the exciting things that we just announced a few weeks ago, we actually flew to Mexico and sat down and had a great meeting. We'll be starting our youth program with American football events this coming summer,
Nice.
and we'll be holding a U15 USA All-Star game in Mexico, June 29th through July 5th. So we're excited
Awesome.
about transitioning the things that we've continued to grow, but now let's move it into a youth level. And I think that's really important to go back to what you and I were talking about, is instilling some of those qualities and those characters, in that 7th, 8th grade opportunity right before you're going to start high school could be a big impact on some of these young people's lives to do something more than just football. And that's
Right.
what our program really emphasizes.
Lastly, this is the last question I have for you here. What kinds of response do you get to see firsthand when you travel outside of the U.S. to showcase that American football with your all-star teams, both men's and women's? Are you instantly embraced, or is it the Americans are here, let's go Team Honduras, or what do
No,
you see?
it's truly an amazing opportunity for the players to experience, because they're literally like rock stars. They roll out the red carpet. American football itself, it's all about, they automatically want to compare you. Well, my favorite team is Dallas, or my favorite team is the Patriots, and you know they're asking for your autograph. These little kids are coming up to you. They want your gloves. They want, can I get your cleats? And then our players are signing their jerseys and signing their shoes that the kids are wearing. And but truly, it's been unbelievable, the warm welcome that we have received everywhere as we traveled. And I think that also goes back to the way the organization's structured. Majority of our coaches, our staff, are previous military. That's another reason why we developed red, white, and blue, as you said, RWB, is because of our military. And we have many of our staff that's law enforcement, first responders, military, and it's that structure, that discipline, that organization. Everything we do, they show up, whether it's a team meeting or we're going out in the community for a kids grant. Everybody's dressed right dress. Everybody's got the same uniform on. Everybody looks the same. And those are the key things that these people have been looking for. So when they see us as an organization, and you show up, you have that professional look, and
Right.
they automatically just gravitate to you. You're standing there and all of a sudden you're surrounded by 35 kids that want a picture with you, or a mama walking up and hands you her baby and take a picture with my child. So it's pretty neat. And you don't necessarily have to learn how to speak the language. A lot of people go, Coach, I struggle. I don't know Spanish, or I don't know. I was like, that's okay. You speak the same language everybody does. It's called international language of love. They just want to smile, share a smile with them.
Smile, handshake, a hug,
Yep.
any of those kind of things.
Yep.
Well, Dale, on behalf of Tanya and I and the viewers, we thank you so much for joining us today to talk about not only yourself, but your livelihood as well.
Appreciate it.
You can find Dale on Facebook at American Football Events USA All Stars, or online at www.afeteamusa.com. So thanks for joining us, Dale. Stay healthy.
Jay, thank you. Appreciate what you're doing.
Here's to hoping 2021 is better than 2020. So hang tight in the green room for us. We'll say goodbye to you here at the end.
Thank you very much for everything.
Thanks. All right, next week on the show, we will have Mark Griffith, Director of the South Central EMS, joining us to talk about the impact COVID has had on the training and education of emergency responders, and how his story of inspiration, collaboration, and encouragement comes into the lives of those he teaches for and teaches with. We would also like to thank our sponsors for today's episode. Gemini Studios is the leading video production company in southern Minnesota, based out of downtown Fairmont, Minnesota. Gemini Studios offers many services such as VHS to DVD transfers, picture scanning to CD, advertising, commercials, voiceover recording, educational and informational videos, and live streaming special and school events. If interested in any of their services, please call them at 507-235-5190. Are you looking to travel either domestically or internationally? Call Jana Hughes at Travelooza to book your next vacation. From weekends to resorts or cruises, Jana and her team are ready and waiting to get you back on your feet, headed for the sun and sand. Call 1-888-689-0660. And lastly, the Visual Identity Vault, located in the heart of historic downtown Fairmont. TVIV is a full-service decorated apparel provider with screen printing, embroidery, sublimation, and more. Also offered are signs, banners, design services, paper-printed products, promotional items, and custom gifts. With over 4,000 feet of retail space with great deals for everyone young to old, TVIV also offers a variety of different fundraising opportunities for your groups needing to earn some extra cash for that special trip. Contact TVIV today at sales@tvivmn.com or online at www.tvivmn.com. And that wraps things up today. On behalf of both Tanya and myself, we'd like to thank you, the viewers, as well as our guest Dale, for tuning in to today's episode. And we hope that you found the message of inspiration, collaboration, and encouragement to be useful both in your personal and in your professional lives. Thanks a lot, folks, and we'll see you next Thursday right here on ICE.